Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and I'll be your instructor for this video tutorial series. And we're going to be talking about how to UV map a short sleeve shirt, and we'll be using UDEM tiles. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I've already got my shirt laid out. So what we're going to do is take you through the process of getting that shirt laid out properly. Okay, so I'll just kind of take you through where my seams are so you can get an idea, and then we'll take you through how to do it. Now, every time I do this, it's going to be a different result, so don't worry about that. The idea is just that we're going to create a seam, first of all, around where that seam that we talked about earlier that I created. Now, if you don't have a seam there, you can easily create that by adding an edge loop close to another edge and then scaling in a bit, just a little bit, don't need much. And you go around, you cut that seam there, and then you do the other side, of course. And then you want to go ahead and cut a seam right on the edge, depending on how you modeled your shirt. You want to do it right on the edge. You don't want to do it on the top or the bottom. You want to have a thick piece here. Now, if you have one little thick piece, you don't have an edge loop in the middle, then you will probably do the top or the bottom or both. You'll probably want to do the top and the bottom if it's flat right here. If you have a seam in the middle, like I do, then you can use the middle part. Okay, and you go all the way down. And usually if your edge loops are, it will follow that edge loop workflow. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to you have a little more work to do. Okay, and you can see that I cut the collar in half here so it lays out a lot nicer. Okay, because I have a break, I have a natural break in the front. This will lay out the UVs nicely. Okay, as one single piece. Okay, now the thing is, because I've got a break right here all the way to the bottom, you can see that I go all the way to the bottom and then all the way around the bottom of the shirt. And the nice thing about the seam on the sides is it allows me to cut a seam here instead of the back. Okay, now I can hide that seam, which is really nice because I added an edge loop and pushed it in. So it's basically going to be hidden, or it's going to be a natural seam where people will look at it and see, basically sew marks around down the edge, and that's what I'm going to add later in Substance Painter. And that will hide that seam, or it will just look natural so people won't question it, whether that should be there or not. It's just, a blatant issue or blatant error on my part that I didn't add that. So that will look a lot nicer. Okay, so that's where we're at, and we'll go ahead and get started from scratch. So basically, if I work on UV mapping, I will try different ways to UV map something and see what works best for me, or the best for the result of what I'm looking for as far as laying it out. And that might take going into Substance Painter 3 or 4 times. Just to get the texture the way I want it. So it'll be a back and forth process until I get it exactly the way I want it and make sure the UVs are laid out just the way I want it. And that just gives you more practice going from Maya to Substance Painter, getting the UVs just the way you want them. So that may take a couple times just by trial and error. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to close this for now. Okay. All right, so I'm going to hold down the space bar. Whoops. Let's go into selection mode and get out of the UV. Sometimes you can just hit the Q key too, but I just go into selection mode to get, take the seams out. And we'll start from scratch. So what I usually do is I just add a UV map. Just to it's going to destroy what I have, but obviously I've got this saved, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go to planar mapping. I'm just going to planar map it. I normally model towards the z-axis. Just makes it easier for me, and I would recommend that for you too as well. Just model your stuff with the character facing the Z, the plus Z. So that just makes things easier if you do want to mirror things over. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Basically, I just go to Edit, Reset Settings, and we want it to go towards the Z-axis, okay? And all right, so let's just go ahead, and if you want to click on Keep Image Width Height Ratio, you can. It shouldn't matter, but let's go ahead and click that on and project. Okay, so now when I go into UV Editor, you notice that it kept the same height and width of that piece, okay, the scale. If I did it the other way, it would be kind of squashed. But right now, it placed it in there just nice, okay? That's great. But we don't want to use that because then we're going to have stretching and stuff on the sides, and we've got to lay it out. But this is just a good starting point for us, and normally I will do that just to get rid of, quickly get rid of the seams that I had before, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now that that's done, I'm going to hit the Q key. That gets rid of that, and then I'm going to just click anywhere and just start from scratch. So here we go. So now let's go to edge mode, okay?